Hello and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It's Monday night, which means that we are playing Vaesen, Mythic Britain and Ireland. This is likely the final episode of this arc. There's just a little bit of mystery left to unravel, and some upgrade things to do at the end with XP and such. Very exciting. Below the video are links to our social media, our YouTube if you're watching on Twitch, or Twitch if you're watching on YouTube, our social media, our Discord, which you should join and come and chat with us, and the other lovely people who are involved with the channel, and also our Patreon, which if you enjoy what we do on the channel, you can support us through that. Other things we do on the channel, Wednesday nights we have Simba Room, and once a month on a weekend day we have a one-shot adventure, different GMs running different games and systems. The December one has been teased at in our Discord, no date yet announced, so come and join us on there to find that info out first. So, cool. Let's get into the session. First, let's bring on Inga, please, who plays Constance Kirk. Hey, Inga.
Hiya.
So the previous session had been ended with B sort of discovering that someone or something had taken out a reveller, a party goer potentially from James Wilton's party. Do you want to run us through what happened immediately after that?
Yeah, so not an ideal way to spend the evening. She's seen the creature and like a flash of red light, and this person who she determines is definitely dead, and they have a big gaping chest wound, which doesn't look like something you're going to recover from. So she wakes up the rest of us to go and have a look and figure out what's going on. We do a bit of exploring, look around for like footprints, blood drips, and things like that. And there's a lot of confusing stuff that seemed to indicate that whatever this creature was has just disappeared. So we're pretty convinced this is not human in nature. Through kind of thinking out loud about all of this kind of stuff, Mosling Forsmark kind of remembers that he, previously some time ago read a tale about a Lord de Soulis who had a servant called Robin Redcap, who had some sort of like devil worship and some sort of reign of terror over some other town. And the similarities of what B had described and what was all kind of piecing together just seemed really similar with Robin Redcap, who was described as being kind of a small humanoid. He has a pike, which would potentially explain the chest wound, metal pointed shoes, which would explain the weird footprints we've seen. And he was very vicious and violent, with the kind of tale being that if his hat dried of blood, then he would die, which again, just seems like an unfortunate possibility with all of the kind of blood everywhere and the sort of mopping of blood and all of that kind of stuff. We also think that somebody else might be involved in maybe summoning the red cap or sort of instigating this whole thing, and we're not really quite sure who it is. We decide we need to probably alert Bonce, given the body's just been found and we don't want to look like the guilty parties and stuff. And we have a bit of a muse about who it might be and kind of float that it potentially could be the innkeeper because he was acting a bit sus. And so obviously B is quite worried about Adam and wants to go and check up. And I think that was that right at the start. So in any case, I think B and Bonneville go back to town to alert Bonce and check in on things back then, as we kind of split up basically.
Yeah, cool. So let's bring on John, who plays B. Hey,
Hello.
John. Do you want to run us through what B and Henry did when they headed back to town?
Yeah, so first Henry headed for the police station to ask if Bonce was around, and he wasn't, but the sergeant on the front desk was like, oh, he told us to give you his address if you ever asked. So Henry stopped by his house and told him that he needed to come quickly, and there was a dead body. And luckily, none of us, which Bonce was at first quite worried about, but he decided to, he got dressed very quickly, very rapidly, followed Henry out. B went back to the inn, gently woke Adam up, and decided to try and move him to what might be a safer place. If she doesn't know, she's trying to figure out as she goes along. She took her up to Harriet Walsh's cottage, the village witch, who was luckily still up, and asked if maybe she could watch Adam for some amount of time. And the witch was very, very welcoming, very understanding. And B dropped him off and started running back, where she met up with Henry. And then other things happened. We basically cut away. So,
Yeah. So let's bring on Sam, who plays Hooks.
Hello.
Hey, Sam. I chose you for this because you had the most entertaining thing to recall from this. So tell us what happened while they were in the town.
Yeah, so we decided to hide in the bushes down the slope a bit from kind of the body, and the tower was kind of on top of the hill as well, and we left the fire burning in the tower thinking we'll see what happens, basically. That was me, Constance, and Gail. I didn't take very long, I don't think, until a creature didn't really seem to come from anywhere. It kind of materialized, if I remember correctly. And then we kind of watched it for a while. We couldn't really tell in the dark. Oh, no, we just heard the noise. That's right. We just heard the noise at first because it was so dark. Apologies. And then we heard some noises basically like it sounded like it was dipping cloth in a body, which I kind of imagine what that was. And Hux decided enough was enough, and it was time to stop the creature. So basically did a little countdown and then charged it. And at the same time, Gail took a picture and Constance followed. In seeing the creature, Gail was then utterly terrified and decided to stay still, fiddling with the camera for the entire rest of the fight, while myself and Constance proceeded to whack the thing. I gave it a good walloping with my crowbar, which, as I found out later, was entirely ineffectual. And then it threw me to the ground and did lots of pain. Constance did hit it with a holy thing, which was much more effectual, as we found out later. And then a little bit of a kind of back and forth ensued, in which Constance managed to kind of wrestle the hat from the creature. And then there was this silly running chase where the hat was being where it was chasing the hat that Constance had. And then there was a bit of a kind of struggle over it. I think the creature managed to get the hat back, and at that point, B and
Henry,
thank you. B and Henry both arrived back up the hill to kind of see this chaotic circumstance unfold.
Cool. Yeah, let's bring Steve on, who plays Henry. Hello. Yes, you returned.
We did. So we heard the gunshot, and obviously that precipitated things. We started running towards the tower. Henry had remembered at that point that the weird chest that he'd been given early on in the adventure, and told that he'd know when we should use it, without being given a key or anything, just this locked chest. So Henry was desperately trying to find out the secret to this thing. Happily, and entirely coincidentally, B was the one who had the key and noticed Henry fiddling around with this box. So Henry was able to open it to reveal a sharpened crucifix that Constance saw, immediately grabbed and started using to stab the red cap. And there were also some presumably blessed bullets in there as well. And we realized at that point that actually the thing that was doing damage to it was anything holy. So B took a couple of shots. The first one was did actual damage. The second one didn't. And yes, it became apparent that it was holy damage that was being effective. And yes, with a couple of rather tremulous shots from a revolver that he'd only bought a few weeks ago, along with all of the other cumulative damage, the red cap keeled over and stopped moving.
Yep. So let's bring on Justin, who plays Gale.
Hey.
Sling Floor Smark. Hello, Justin. So after the creature was defeated?
Yeah, so after the creature was defeated, we Bonce was basically just traumatized / confused, and out of the shadows appeared Sir Rupert and his companion Eleanor, and they were like, well done, you completed the challenge. We needed to make sure you were up to scratch before we sent you out to the big scary world of monsters. No hard feelings, and cool. That was basically what they said. I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong.
And you're a writer as well. So
role playing is supposed to be an escapist character activity, Steve. Yeah, so they basically were saying, asked some questions about how we got on with everything, what we thought happened, when we were still a bit unsure about exactly the ins and outs of everything to do with the this creature. We were told to go sleep on it and see what it's like in the morning, and so we retired to the inn to do exactly that.
Yep, and that's where we left it. So, do you want to do some rest-inducing scenes? Because you all got a bit battered
some more
during
than
the
others.
course of that.
I think it would probably be sensible. So, who were the most?
I have 3 of the 4 physicals ticked.
Wow.
Mental.
Constance has got 3 of the 4 physicals ticked and 2 of the mental conditions ticked. She is frightened and wounded.
Well, it
Probably
seems
now that it's all over, very pale and visibly shaking a little. Now the adrenaline's yeah.
I think essentially, as far as Constance is concerned, she's been up against the demon throughout this, so it's probably quite a
It's a big deal. Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, you can use medicine or inspiration to heal somebody else's physical or mental wounds, respectively. But you can only do these things once per day, and essentially, if you're the one helping somebody else, you cannot receive treatment. So you'll be able to basically have 2 of you that kind of receive healing from somebody in this manner.
I would suggest we get back to the pub first. Is there any limit on how much one person could do for other people? So could hypothetically one person do both the mental and the physical if they had the stats for it or something like that?
No, you could. So once per day, you can do a healing thing. Essentially.
Oh, okay, just one. Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, and so that only takes a scene, although it is once per day, but you don't need to make a roll for it. And
there's 2 different. Yeah, there's 2 different.
Yeah, but you can do a whole kind of healing day where you're making rolls, but that takes the whole day.
Yeah.
I shall endeavour to pull up a chart if you give me a.
I would suggest we get back to the tavern either way in character, and then kind of take stock of things there. What is I can't. All the names are going from me now. The 2 who met us at the end of the last session, are they coming with us to the pub now, or what are they doing?
No, they're dealing with cleanup.
Okay.
Essentially.
Okay. So before we head off back to the pub, then I'll just say to them, where can we find you if we need you?
We'll meet you at the pub in the morning.
Okay.
Because it was about 5 a.m., wasn't it? I think
it's sort of early morning, very early morning.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Head off down. Want to get to pub.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quietly following.
I think we may have backtracked slightly because I remember picking Adam up from Harry.
Yeah, I think you'd actually already got back to the to the pub, but that's fine. Those are the things that you could have discussed anyway. So
yeah, if anyone tries to like actually attend to me, I will stubbornly make sure that they pay attention to Constance first.
I'm also happy to I think if it's already 5 a.m, I'm happy to not go to sleep. If anybody wants to do their scene immediately when they get back, in terms of their resting for the day.
Constance will 100%. I like, without speaking a word, somehow she'll end up with a stiff brandy or whiskey or something, something to calm the nerves a bit.
Then
Yeah,
I'm happy to. Yeah, go on.
B was going to basically, if I've forgotten his name, Bill isn't in or up. B was basically going to let herself behind the bar and pour everyone a drink, and then start assessing everyone for physical injuries. You can deal with the mental ones yourself.
yeah, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, I think, were you on 3 ticks as well for physical?
Yeah, I think we both got properly like clawed at by the thing. So
me and Constance look equally battered.
Yeah. I don't know whether it shows more on Constance just because she's a bit less rough looking to start with.
You've got, well, that's true as well. You've got the mentals too, haven't you? So
yeah, she's definitely looking pale and stuff.
I also suspect that Hux is more used to being beat up than Constance is, of the two of us.
Yeah, she's actually surprisingly delicate, I think.
Yeah, so it's worth noting that essentially one of you could be treated by B and the other one could do a restful activity.
Yeah.
Basically.
Or be treated by Mosling, who has some healing as well.
I'll tell you what, I reckon how do you do a restful physical activity that's a scene? I was just thinking fall asleep, but that's not really with several other NPCs, is it?
So sharing a good drink and
yeah, you're right. Just sharing. Does that treat physical? I mean, that would treat mental.
Numb the pain.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, maybe I will actually like I'm like bleeding from my arm from a claw, and I'm just like pouring some brandy on it, just going like and then just complaining intensely to Gale while this is going on.
Okay, I'm 100% sure this is not a medical activity. Like this is not a medically approved procedure.
There is a list of example activities, one of which is drinking alcohol.
Oh, there you go then.
Prayer and meditation is another one which may be relevant for Constance.
Cool. Well,
keeping
I'm doing
a journal. Arguing is apparently
I'm doing both
healing
of those.
activity.
There's definitely some arguing with Gale going on, even if Gale is not saying a thing.
Yeah, you know you're on the mend if you can start picking a fight again.
I'm gonna treat Constance because I trust in Hux's ability to take care of himself, especially when he's got a bottle in his hand.
Cool. So a medicine roll, please, John.
Well, this is
you
going
only
on
need one success because it's 3 conditions per success get healed.
So is this
Isn't
the
that
full
for the
day
full
activity?
day? Yeah. Because there's the full day activity, or there's using medicine to treat a critical injury if they're broken, and if extra successes on the broken, treat subsequent conditions. So I would take that to mean that if you're just doing like a quick one, then the first success basically does nothing unless they're broken, and then everyone after that.
I mean, the way I see it is, if you're not spending a whole day doing something, you don't need to roll. You just need to describe a kind of scene that would be you resting. And then if you want to spend a whole day doing something, then you roll either medicine or inspiration.
Yeah, the one without roll will only heal 1 PC, so we could kind of divide into pairs and have scenes where they go off and you know you do a restful thing and you get 2 conditions back. Or we gather everybody who's got physical injuries into one place, spend the entire day, somebody does a roll, and then I think you get 3 points per success, and then you can divide them up between the people.
But we're not having a whole day.
I don't think we're doing a whole day.
Yeah, we've still got stuff to do.
It's essentially triaging because you've done the.
I'm sure there's nothing else now that's going to attack us. I'm sure it's absolutely fine.
So what can we do? Have we figured it out?
I think we spend a scene and don't make any rolls, and then half the people can get 2 conditions back of their choice.
Okay.
And Mosley doesn't need one, and someone else doesn't need one.
I think the treat critical injury thing, it starts with treat a broken character. There are no broken characters, so you can't do that action essentially. So I think you're on the rest.
So who doesn't need to heal? I guess
I only have one.
Yeah,
so have one physical.
If Henry and Mosling are not healing, then Inga and Sam, or Magnus and Constance can both choose 2 conditions to tick off.
Yeah, and I'm drinking and arguing with Gale about that damn camera.
Yes.
Constance is
drinking, and maybe if that's okay, maybe more gentle sort of patching with maybe a bit of B's guidance. Just
yeah. I think just a general wrapping the bloody claw marks with I don't know, towels or something.
I don't have the time to actually do anything here, and we haven't got the facilities. But for now, this will have to do.
Yeah. So Constance is now just exhausted and still frightened, which I think is pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Would a Constance? Would we say that would being Constance would be interacting in some sort of semi-companionable silence?
Yeah, I'm not sure Constance terribly knows how to talk to B, but she'll quietly take and is not really that much off the chat right now. Yeah,
I don't think B knows how to talk to Constance either, so that's fine.
It's probably the best bonding the 2 characters could do.
Yeah.
Oh, you can also recover without NPCs. You can recover without PCs. You can use NPCs as well to do just the rest activities. You can do that with NPCs.
Yeah.
Cool. Which meant if I don't know if Steve had an NPC that he wanted to pal around with,
it does
recover anything.
I was going to say, without trying to gamify it, there are essentially 6 of you there at all times. Although Adam has probably gone straight to sleep, I imagine.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah.
So are you sorry, go on, Sam.
I was going to say, after having an argument, I will go and get what shutter I can before we decide to wake up again in the morning, because I
was going to say, are you going to try and get some sleep?
So probably 6 or something. I'll just head up to bed briefly, without probably saying much of anything.
I think Mosling is going to sit tending the fire, not sleeping, but occasionally nodding off. But I'm not asleep. I'm up.
Such a dad.
To be honest, Mosling slept through nearly everything and then didn't even do very much last night apart from get scared. He really is not that tired.
I think when you say didn't really do very much, he did nothing except get scared.
Essentially got to the place at 7 or 8, went to bed, got up at 4, which isn't even that early, and then just wandered around in the dewy morning, and then now is sitting by the fire. It's not actually that stressful.
Really, this whole trip's just been a bit of a jolly for you.
Mm-hmm. That's the middle class white establishment figure way.
Yeah, Hux will remain asleep until someone comes to get him.
I think same for Constance, just exactly as Hux.
B will go get a couple of hours sleep.
Okay. You are roused by a gentle knock on your doors at around 8:30.
Am I though? A gentle knock? I mean,
perhaps not.
You don't have to be roused if you don't want to.
I always love an opportunity to roll, so I'm going to roll my vigilance. Were we all waiting on TED Talks for me to roll?
Yeah, you said you were going to roll.
I utterly failed. I didn't get anything higher than 3, so I'm
Okay.
fast asleep.
I think a gentle knock would wake up Constance, and it's probably been a very light sleep, really.
There is loud snoring coming from behind my door when other people move around.
Is there someone waiting outside the door when I open it, or was it just a oh?
Yes. Sir Rupert and Eleanor Blakely stand in the hallway, sort of light smatters of mud up their lower legs from having been out in the field outside the tower last night. And whoever answers first, Eleanor says, I thought it may be best if we discussed further plans away from any potential prying eyes and ears. Maybe we could discuss up here.
Sounds like a good enough plan. You have to knock harder on Hux's door, though. Come in.
Rupert just goes and opens the door to Hux's room.
I think there's probably an amount of like no reaction still, and then maybe there's a polite cough or something until eventually Hux is woken.
Yeah.
And just looks over at Rupert and just goes, "Ugh, get up."
Once you're awake, he leaves the room and pulls the door to let you get ready. So once everyone is gathered in whichever room, maybe B's, I imagine, with Adam being there. Eleanor says, well then, what do you think next?
Well, we still don't know how the that creature came to arrive there. Clearly, these attacks have only started recently, so something's instigated this. Plus, there was the fact that at the start of all of this, there were signs of mischief, not violence. So there's it seems unlike this particular creature. So, yes, presumably, Mosling, perhaps, did you learn anything in that story about how creatures like that are brought here, summoned? What?
No, not really.
Devil worship, summoning of devils, and going against. Someone's been interfering with dark and evil things.
Yeah, but why?
I'll be studying names. Good God.
Rupert, Eleanor?
Thank you. Yes, Rupert's and Eleanor. Good God, I need a new brain. Just to see whether, yes, their facial expressions give anything away as devil worship is postulated.
Make I've forgotten the word for the role. You know the one.
Vigilance? No, is it?
Observation.
Observation.
Okay.
Roll.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you that you'll need a decent result because they're, you know.
They play poker, sure. Okay, so I'll be rolling empathy plus observation, which is 4 plus 2. No, nothing.
Cool. Yeah, completely straight-faced. But you are aware that, you know, they're attempting to sort of test you here still, and they don't want to give you anything if they don't have to. This strikes you as a teacher checking your work halfway through, and if you don't need correcting, you'll be left, like, you know, they're not going to give you the answers. They're going to let you, as long as you're not going to put yourselves in any unnecessary danger or anything like that, you get the feeling that you're just going to be left to continue on.
You might also notice Hux is clearly annoyed by this. while this is going on, and not trying to hide it.
We should go to church and see who the non-believers are, who the people that don't attend. That would be my starting point. Can't trust them.
That might leave rather a large group.
Also, might have asking some weird questions.
There
Perhaps
is
if you went in and asked alone, Constance, I suppose.
There is the aspect of Mr. Trent's behaviour as well. Just the way his mood changed when we
Yeah,
came back to the pub.
but what are we going to do about that?
I'm not sure.
Have you talked to him?
Well, not since we left to go to the tower. No, we've not seen him.
Might be worth seeing what he's like this morning.
Maybe just one of us should go have a quiet chat rather than everyone. See if they can get something out of him.
I think as well, with this creature, one of the things that we've learnt about it is that it needs to regularly wet its cap in blood. So that we haven't heard of murders before this. So either the creature has been brought here recently, probably potentially with someone if it's attached to some kind of ritual or worship, and so we're looking for someone who's recently visited the town, or somebody who has had an opportunity to kill in peace before this and get away with it. So we're either looking for someone new in town or someone with a lot of power and opportunity to kill without consequence.
Or it's someone who's been annoyed about this. If it's a newcomer, why would they care about Wilton and what's been going on at the tower? If it's punishment, it's got to be this. It's someone local who's learned some evil. Maybe someone who's been hanging out with that Harriet or something like that. I don't know. But why would anybody new come and care about this? And unless, as you say, there's someone who's been doing this for a really, really long time, but.
Do we know anything about the first victim?
They were out of towner, right?
Yeah.
Well, it struck me that if the first victim was an out of towner, maybe that was the one that they intended, and they'd hoped that would be the last of it or something.
Maybe
Sort of
lost
thing a local
control
would
after
do.
that one.
That sounds like the sort of thing a local would do, eh? And then from then on, it's been, well, a mess.
Turning to Rupert and Eleanor, who knows about the true nature of what's happened last night, and presumably this is to be kept quiet.
Yes, you, Rupert's acquaintance, Inspector Bonds, although whether or not he even fully comprehends is another matter. And I suppose whomever is responsible will also be aware. Perhaps one thing that we have learned, it is foolish for the society to have gained so much historical knowledge and not have it available to you, but often the instigator of these situations is not always aware of the repercussions of their actions.
We did say, we thought maybe it's someone who didn't really realize what they were getting into, something got out of hand.
Sometimes a decision is made in haste that then spirals out of their and anyone else's control. It is always worth considering that perhaps not everything fits into a puzzle. such as in terms of figuring out a motive.
So
Sometimes there is one part of what has happened that fits the motive, and everything else is an unfortunate byproduct.
So we're looking for someone who really hated that tower. And this was all just some trickery or attempt to scare people away. What will, if it was just a byproduct like that, though, an accident even, rather than a true effort to summon a demon to kill people, I'll glance at Constance. What will you do with them if we find out who it was? What then?
That depends. Situations vary. Sometimes sometimes an explanation befitting the public can be created, and somebody can receive the punishment that they deserve for what has gone on without the true story becoming knowledge in the public domain. For example, in this situation, Inspector Bonce is aware of basically what has been going on, and so it may be possible that we can have
Frame
this.
someone?
Is it framing if they are responsible for these deaths? Are they not the murderer?
I don't care what the public sees, but we've got to. This person's got to be stopped, and they've got to be put behind bars or otherwise punished. So that they can't be allowed to continue and do this again. It's got to be stopped, and it can't happen again. It's too dangerous. I don't care what the public knows, but they've got to be stopped.
You realise, Sister Constance, up here, that many murders, if they do get on the murder charge, that'll be death, won't it?
Then they deserve it then.
Framing someone, I mean, they kind of did it, but not so sure how that sits with me.
Someone who can summon these sorts of demons and things is not innocent.
You're right, but it may
If
have
they
been a
were-
mistake what we were saying, right? I agree what they did was wrong, horribly wrong, and they should be punished, but...
Well, this is your investigation. I am happy to leave it up to you what happens to the person if you find out who is responsible.
As long as that's the case, then fair enough.
Well, we have some ground to cover first.
Well, we only know one person who has really voiced hating that tower, and who already acted shifty. Seems the place to start, doesn't it, Bonneville?
I suppose it does. I'm not quite sure how to address that, but I don't know. Perhaps someone who looks the worse for wear might prompt a reaction.
Jonny, I'm assuming there's kind of like a place that Bill lives. Can we see that? Is that another house, or is it the back of the pub? Sorry.
That is, yes, he is kind of in the back of the pub.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen him go back and emerge from there, so you presume that's where he is.
Okay, cool. I'm from the outside of the building because we walked around a few times now. Is it obvious which bit he lives in?
Well, the pub is actually sort of in the midst of a terrace. So you can get round the back of it in an alley, but you wouldn't necessarily have wandered back there.
Yeah, I think Hux will propose that. I'll just say I might have a peek around the back alley, take a look at the place from the back, especially if he's in front doing breakfast or something distracted. Not saying I'm going to break in, but might be something to find.
I think you're wrong, Mr. Bonneville. I think he seemed to take a shine to Adam. I think that's a lot more sympathetic, and I think he would, that if he's guilty, that would be that I think that's the better route.
I'm not sure what you mean, sister.
I just think you're a lot more sympathetic. If we're wanting to pull on his sympathies, I think that's you.
I don't usually want to make people pity me, but I can talk to him if you want. I can talk to him.
Do we want to try looking through his things if we can distract him simultaneously, perhaps? Is it?
That's my plan. I'm not going to break anything. It's all locked up. I'm not breaking in. Don't want to risk it just yet. Nothing really to suspect him for.
I do want to say, though, I'm not always the best at telling when people aren't really speaking plainly.
Is this who has the best observation score?
This is a sending B in to try and judge someone's emotional response to anything she says is a very bad idea.
I don't think he'll open up to me, and so there's no point anyway. He doesn't say anything. There's nothing to see.
I'm
All right.
happy to accompany you and listen if that would help.
Yeah, I trust that.
Oi, Mosling, come round back with me. You can keep an eye out.
Sure.
It sounds like you don't really need me for the morning. I should sort of trail off, and Constance is going to go to her room for a bit of a quiet moment because she is not ready quite yet to confront this.
It is worth pointing out, from a gameplay point of view, that you can, if you have a way of using your memento.
She is going to take her memento, which is the little locket that she has, and pray over that and kind of thumbing it for a while to hopefully heal a mental condition, helping remove some of that frightenedness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I have to roll for that one or not.
I think it's just I think it's a guaranteed.
I think
heal.
it's just a spend a scene to do this. I think. So yeah, that's fine. Rupert says, "Well, Eleanor, shall we go check on Bonce?" He looked well.
How are you dealing with the fifth body? How you can't, Wilson? What does he know?
Yes, it is. It is being dealt with as the way any other body found with no attacker or weapon around would be dealt with for the time being.
I'm sure Bonce is in for an unpleasant time there. But,
yes. Well, we'll go check on him. Eleanor's already left the room and is kind of giving Constance a gentle nod as she passes. And they head off.
I'll follow them down and outside, presumably with Gale in tow, and head round to the alley around the back.
Yeah, so Bill is at the bar when you head down. Are you just going?
Yeah, I probably won't. I maybe just give him a quick wave, but I won't really say anything and just head straight out.
limp
Cool.
past.
I'm only exhausted now. I'm just a bit tired. It's fine.
So yeah, you kind of have to go past, say 8 houses, to then get round the back, and it's kind of walled around the back.
If I know terraces, it's a nightmare to figure out which one is actually the pub.
Well, the pub essentially takes up the space of sort of 3 houses, so it's much easier than and the gate at the back is open into the kind of back courtyard area. You're heading in?
Yeah, I think at this point, if it's just the gates open, I'll wander in without trying to be stealthy, just like I'm looking for something. Because if someone spots me, I'm just like, oh no, the casual.
You haven't seen anybody about while you've been down here. Were you relying on B and Henry to kind of head down?
Yeah, I presume they were. I wasn't checking they were doing so, but I was kind of hoping that they would be doing that at some point around the same time. So yeah.
Okay.
And I haven't seen evidence that Bill has a lot of other staff or other folks in the place. So now is when we find out he has a family of 5.
Okay. So are you going to try and go through the back door? If it's unlocked, are you testing the handle?
First of all, I was going to look Gale up and down to judge how good his stealth is.
Cold, absolutely cold.
Okay.
But actually not. Although he I've got like I'm better than not.
Because my exhausted means I've only got 4 dice.
Well, then we're equally good.
Okay. Well, Hux will probably go first if he has the choice. So I'll just say to you, just keep an eye out around here and around the back if anyone comes out, all right?
He's just going to end up photographing the crime scene.
Okay, so let's.
And then, sorry, I wasn't breaking in just yet. I was just looking through windows and stuff, and maybe just testing things. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
Okay, so if you want to look through the windows, you can, and you can see that this back door goes straight into a sort of kitchen area with a small table, with 2 chairs at it, and then a door goes into another room. So yeah, you're not sure what's through there.
Okay. I will try the door handle before we cut to our next scene then to see if it's open.
Okay. The handle goes down, and the door is unlocked. And can you make me a stealth roll?
I can.
Don't tell me the result yet. B and Henry. So you head downstairs.
Yep.
Bill says, "Morning."
Morning.
Sleep okay?
Not quite. It was an eventful night.
Is that so?
Yeah. Cold night. Outside. I want to talk to you for keeping an eye on Adam while I'm out.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate it.
Of course, he's a good lad.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, he's no trouble.
And you're are you quite fond of kids, Bill?
Yes, as anybody is, I suppose. Not been lucky enough yet to meet the right person and have my own, but I would like to one day.
I'm sure you'll be very good at it.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind of you to say.
I wondered I noticed you gave him a toy. Was it yours?
Yes, by inheritance. Belonged to my father, actually.
That's quite old.
Yeah. Don't have many things of his, but that's one. And I thought, well, it's the only thing by way of a toy really that I have here. So thought young Adam might like it.
I'm sorry if this is forward, but father, I take it in the past tense.
Yes, sadly, yes.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. He was a good man.
Was he local?
No, not here, but yeah, it's been gone a few years now, so doesn't sting quite as bad. Let's cut back to outside.
Mosling's just like,
the door is open.
I roll 1-6.
Okay, cool. That awkward conversation is enough to cover the sound of the back door opening.
I feel comfortable that the door was quiet. Okay, so I'm in the kitchen area in the back now. From here,
Yes.
can I hear? Am I aware that they're not far away having their conversation, or is it still a fair distance?
I think if you literally stop still to listen, you will hear a sort of mumbled voices.
Okay, but there's at least a door between. It seems like
that you would say that they're at least sort of another room away.
Okay, cool.
You don't think you're going to open this door and you're in the bar?
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. In that case, I'll have a quick skim around the kind of kitchen area and presumably not noticing anything, and then go to the next door. I think this is? I know this is really gamey, but do I think this is another noisy door that I'm going to roll for again?
So that door wasn't particularly noisy. It's just any door is going to make a noise, so it's kind of like
Cool.
yeah.
I will.
If you were at home, like your door might not be noisy, but if you were sitting doing and there was no other noise, you would hear it open and close. So
I will gently and quietly open the next door. I'm also keeping an ear out to make sure there's no one else. It seems like no one else is moving around this place. Obviously,
No, you've not seen or heard anyone else here throughout. So you presume that it's just Bill here on his own.
Cool.
So this next room, that you kind of go into sort of a living room area. So there's a fireplace in here, a couple of comfortable chairs, and some there's a bookshelf that's full of books, and in fact, make me I suppose, is it an investigation roll it would be for this? I think.
And this is not a physical skill, so I don't get that negative. Ugh. Oh, do I want to push to? I really want to look, but I don't know if there's anything important. Does it look like this is very? I'm not going to oh, maybe there's occult books on this shelf.
Is there a big yellow exclamation mark above this chest?
Yeah. I think I probably won't push.
Okay.
If there's another room.
There are stairs.
Yeah, okay. Stairs are my main focus. I feel like downstairs living room is probably that's not that important.
Okay, fine. So you head up. I'm happy to continue your stealth roll, like you've been stealthy. That's fine. So I'm not going to ask you to roll again. So you head upstairs, and there is a bedroom, and that's it up here. But there is, I imagine you would note, there is a bedside table which has a drawer.
Yep. I mean, yeah, I would definitely search the bedside table. That's like the most important place. People keep the most important things there. The first place you search.
Okay. You pull the drawer open. It's reasonably quiet. You're not too worried about the sound of the drawer opening. And you find 2 pieces of paper, which you find incredibly interesting.
Even though I can't read?
Oh, maybe you don't then. Okay.
This is a problem.
We set the wrong
I
person on
realize this is a problem.
Okay. You find 2 pieces of paper.
2 pieces of paper. What does it mean?
With some sort of symbols on that you're not sure what.
I didn't even need to have the thing, right? I just thought it was a nice character flavor thing, right?
I also love the. It's like it's like that scroll of truth style comic. And he's like, "Don't care about these."
Can I make a vigilance roll to be like, oh, maybe I recognize something on the paper is significant?
Like, or like, even if you're illiterate, you might be able to read a few.
That's what I'm thinking.
There might be some words.
Yeah.
They look like official bits of paper.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Both of them are
not just
official
scribbles.
Documents. Yeah.
Okay, important official documents in the bedside table. Yeah, definitely pick them up. Cool. That's so funny. There doesn't seem to be anything obviously like a cult or anything, though. There's not like a weird sacrificial dagger or anything like that.
No.
Jonny's like, oh, I forgot to mention there's a fucking sacrificial dagger right on, like it's plunged into the pillow.
Yeah,
I just
right
forgot to
next
mention
to the
it.
goat skull that's slowly weeping
the
blood from
goat
the eye
skull.
sockets.
I just turn around. I hadn't looked at that side of the room yet.
No, there's nothing else really of note in this room. It's quite plain.
Okay. I will quietly sigh and hope that I'm not just stealing his like insurance documents or something, and then quickly and quietly make my way back out, remembering to put the doors back where they were when I came in.
Does this mean that the bookcase, like, it wouldn't have mattered anyway? What you could like?
I'd just be looking for weird, creepy looking.
Randomly picked something, right?
Book colors, yeah.
Maybe
getting illiterate is going to be a level point for me.
If there were weird symbols on the books, that might have been noteworthy. But...
Yeah, I can recognize, writing.
Okay, are you passing those straight to Gale when you get outside?
I'm outside.
Okay. Justin, there are 2 pieces of paper which you find incredibly interesting.
What are these books?
Let's jump back inside. So, is Henry being involved in this conversation at all, or is he just kind of sitting there?
I was sort of there and listening to these first discussions. I think at this point I would probably join in and say, yes, it was good of you to look after Adam. We should probably tell you that it's not public knowledge yet, but there's been another death at the tower. Quite grisly.
That's dreadful. Do you want to make observation rolls?
4 + 2.
Oh my god. I rolled 2 dice and got a success.
Well, I got 1 success as well.
Okay. When he says that's dreadful, you believe him that he does think that it's dreadful, but also in the like, and his face kind of drops when you say that it's happened. But you think that a little bit, like for a split second, there's sort of guilt on his face, but it's like there and gone.
Yes, someone else entirely innocent, cut down, slaughtered. It's, well, it was devastating. It's really going to shake up the reputation of this town. Five murders now. 5 people killed gruesomely.
The workers were saying how it's going to affect Wilton getting that tower sorted, but if it continues, it's going to affect the entire town.
Yes, I can imagine. Sorry, I think I just need to make a cup of tea. Would you like one?
Jonny, would this be heading towards...
You look like this has hit you quite hard, Bill. Do you want me to go make one? It's the least I could do for what you've done.
No, I'll be all right. Just give me a moment. He just kind of leans against the bar with his head down for a minute. Let's go back outside. Gale, the pieces of paper that you have been handed.
Yep.
One is a very old deed for the tower and the manor house. Which is made out to it's from 1742 and it is made out to Edward Radcliffe. And the other is a birth certificate for 31 years ago for a Bill Radcliffe.
What's it say?
How on earth did you get these hucks?
Bedside
How
table.
did you know to pick them up?
Look, whatever's in a bedside table is important.
I know what, I can't argue with that. All my most important documents are in my bedside table. Let's step out of this garden and hide behind this wall for no reason.
So what's it say? Is it good? Did I find the right?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think there's a very small chance that Bill is the of the Radcliffe line, the one that's supposed to have this house. God, he's going to notice if this is his birth certificate. This is a deed to the Radcliffe Tower. He's going to notice if these are gone.
It was definitely
no. He's going to notice if these are gone.
And the others are having a chat with him right now, right? Well, maybe we should stay back here in case he tries to leg it. Other way out, isn't it?
Sure. I mean, you hold on to these. I don't want to be caught with these incriminating documents.
I'll take them again, and then I'll wander back to the back door again.
No, what are you going to do now?
I don't reply. I think I hang around there for a moment, waiting to see if he comes bursting through, or if I can hear a conversation of raised voices.
No raised voices, and he doesn't come through for say you stand there for a minute. There's nothing.
Oh, I might go back through, given I now really think it's him. Oh, yeah, I think I will. I think I'll come back through.
Through
like that,
to the bar from the back.
I think
Okay.
I would, because at this point I'm like, it was definitely him. Unless Gale stops me, I'm like, well, that's just proof in my eyes. So
I mean, I might throw a rock at you, but I'm just like, what the hell are you doing?
You just hit the window.
But smash a window with a rock.
I'd assumed you would at least come up to the house with me, but no, you're just staying there. Okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna come through. Like, we've got a potential like demon summoner, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna obviously just be clear that I'm just broken into the back of his house. Anyway, no, I will not be joining you walking through the house.
Yeah, I'll just open the back door again. I'll make another stealth roll, but I also don't mind too much if I fail. Do you want me to make another stealth roll, Jonny?
Yeah, we'll call this a separate situation now.
I fail.
Okay.
I'm not. I kind of noticed the door creak this time and don't try and hide it and just march straight through to the bar at some speed.
Okay, so B and Henry, you kind of see Bill sort of go like because he's sort of head down, and then the door at the back of the bar opens, and Hux is there.
Found these, and I'll kind of reach round Bill without looking at him and trying to make sure he's not going to run away, but hand them straight to Bonneville.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Read him, Bonneville. And then I'll step back to try and be in the doorway so he couldn't run straight through and not reply.
Well, I guess I'll look down and...
Yeah.
Bill Radcliffe. How did you do it?
Look at... I didn't mean for this to happen, you know.
We know what it was. It's dead now.
Well, we know what did the killing.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do, Bill?
Well, at first I was just wanted to save my own skin. I went out for a walk in the hills and came across the ruins of an old fort. Then out of nowhere, I was on the ground with that thing attacking me. First thing that I could think of was didn't think I could fight it, so I tried to offer it something better than me. I thought maybe it'd just go after the cows that were in the tower. I thought best case scenario, it might scare Wilton off. I didn't know this was going to happen. I tried to scare him off myself, you know. Playing tricks on the builders hadn't worked. I didn't want all these people to die, but I knew I couldn't stop it. So what was I supposed to do?
Why didn't you tell anyone, Bill?
Who do you tell that to?
Harriet? You think a lass like her doesn't know anything about this?
There are
I don't
people
know.
out there who can help, but it's not really your fault for not knowing. But 5 people are dead for you, though, even if you weren't intending it.
Yeah. And that is, that is on me. I'm not going to pretend it isn't.
I'll stay here with him. One of you want to go get Sister Constance? She might want to have a say in this.
Moslin comes in through the front door, I suppose, and goes, "Oh, there you all are."
I'm like, I've got a hand like firmly on Bill's shoulder now, just to make sure he's not going anywhere and make it apparent that you're not going anywhere.
You get the feeling that he's not going to attempt to. He's sort of sunk.
Mm-hmm.
His whole body language is, given in.
How about I go see if the sister wants to come down? Bonneville, you go see if Bonce is up and around.
Okay.
Bonce thinks that this was all just him. I'm not sure I'm up for that.
I don't know what Bonce is going to think after last night.
Well, we need to.
We'll get Merryweather in them, won't we? Yeah, they'll have some sway with him, I suppose. Go on, Bonneville. It's a good idea. We need to get him involved either way, don't we?
So I probably, yes, I'm presuming Merryweather and Eleanor Rupert, they left, didn't they? Presumably, I think they were staying at Bonce's.
They said they were going to check on Bonce, so they'll either be at his, which you know where he is, or they'll be at the police station. You've dealt with police a lot in your work. You imagine that given what's happened last night, he'll probably be at the police station rather than at home.
Okay. I'll head there.
Is Constance coming down?
If B knocks, then I presume this has been enough time for a scene's worth of quiet meditation and prayer and stuff.
So clear off a mental condition.
So she'll open the door and come out, and she's definitely looking a lot calmer. There's still just not happy looking. I mean, when is she? But yeah, definitely looking a bit less jittery. Yeah, and she'll come down. I don't know if you want to explain what's happened along the way.
I will phrase it more along the terms of Bill was attacked and tried to bargain with it, rather than, Bill was a devil worshipper who tried to kill everyone. I don't know whether that makes much of a difference to Constance, but
barely. I guess she'll come down and stare daggers at Bill, and you chose to bargain with the demon.
I didn't know what else to do.
You could have gone to the church. They would have helped you.
I'm not sure they would.
You meddled with dark things beyond mortal understanding. There's no one else but the church to go to in a situation like this.
You, apparently.
You'll be judged for this.
I'm aware.
But I suppose until Bill's immortal soul gets its final judgment, it seems unlikely that the law will have any judgment to pass on him at all. It seems difficult to try a case like this in the courts, but perhaps if it were to go, perhaps Bill would only be facing charges for manslaughter rather than murder, and maybe it wouldn't do to have a capital punishment for a crime that, if it could go through the courts, probably wouldn't result in one.
Bill, if this were
him.
if this were just an innocent, you were trying to save your skin. It's a bit convenient, isn't it, that you're also a Radcliffe and you wanted that place probably more than anyone else would, back with your family.
You're a Radcliffe too.
I'll point at the documents on the bar.
Pointing is just the wrong parts of the document.
Vaguely in their
upside
direction.
Look, I made no bones about that. I said I hoped it'd scare him off. But that would have been a pleasant coincidence.
I see what you mean, but that you had to gain from this doesn't make it look better in my eyes. You knew it was dangerous. Could have sent it to a farm in the middle of nowhere. No, it had to be there, not far from town. People are interested in it.
If it went to a farm from the middle of nowhere, it may never have caught our attention. Who knows how many people it would have killed?
It doesn't matter. You made a choice. Hux, when that thing attacked us, it didn't occur to me to try and let it have you instead, or to bargain with it or something. If you tried to do something like that and offer me up, I wouldn't forgive you.
You're right.
To normal people, that just doesn't occur.
I agree with you on that.
You've no argument from me on any of this. Steve, Henry arrives at the police station and Bonce is there looking very tired, still very pale. And Eleanor and Rupert are there as well with him. They look like they're all, like he's doing something, but they're kind of there in case he needs any help.
I would probably approach, yes, Eleanor and Rupert first, and sort of, can I have a word, please?
Mr. Bonneville, yes, of course. How go the investigations?
Can we move somewhere that's perhaps sort of out of hearing of Bonce, just to?
Yes, Bonce. We're just taking the, and he's not paying attention. And they just take you to an interview room essentially.
Well, our suspicions were correct. Hux managed to find some documentation that gave us motive is a bit strong, but Bill Trent is actually Bill Radcliffe, so he has a connection with that tower. He says, we confronted him. He says that he met the Red Cap out in the wilds and then led it back to the tower as a form of self-defense. At least he claims. He claims that he tried to frighten the workers away, or by playing tricks on them by moving their tools, but clearly that was not enough. It doesn't entirely ring true. We certainly, the creature did not seem like it was for bargaining when the others met it. So I'm somewhat surprised that Bill Trent was able to lead it back to the tower. That seems a little unusual, but I don't have much knowledge of these creatures, so I don't know.
In his defense, if, as I believe to be the case, he encountered this thing at some kind of ruin in the hills, the frequency with which it was able to find victims would be much lower than it was here. So perhaps it wouldn't be for bargaining here, as it seemed to have a steady flow. But yes, good finds. Good finds. What do you intend to do with him?
Well, there's the question. He knows he's guilty of at least being involved in the murder of these 5 victims, but he did not murder them himself. Admittedly, he did nothing to, well, nothing concrete to. He didn't warn people. He didn't tell anyone. So from that point of view, he is in some way, I guess, complicit. But equally, and I'll sort of nod or gesture towards where Bonce was, I fail to see how the only possible link, he might be tried for trespass on Wilton's property, but I don't believe there's any direct evidence that could tie him to these murders. So I don't know. He does accept his guilt, but as to how that ties in with any legal repercussions, I don't know.
A moral quandary for sure, and one of just many that you may have to be a part of if you do indeed become fully fledged members of the society.
Yes, it's well, perhaps we should deliberate once more and see what decision we come to. I know that some of our party are well, implacable, I think, would probably be the best word. I don't know whether he can atone for what he's done. I don't know whether he can support the families he's hurt.
An interesting proposition. Would you like us to return with you to the pub, or do you wish to deliberate amongst yourselves?
I think it's probably a good time to gather together again. Yes, I think come back to the pub and we can perhaps wrap things up.
Do you want us to bring Bonce, or should we leave him out of it for now? I think the less decisions the man has to make today, they're probably the better for him.
Yes. Let's leave him here for now.
Good. And they head out with you back to the pub. And you arrive back by the time their conversations have concluded.
I don't suppose the head of the manor has been upset at all that one of his party goers was found murdered on his the grounds of his house. Like he hasn't come storming into town or anything. Or
No, but that is part of the reason that Bonce is looking so sort of harassed.
Cool.
But no, he's not come sort of pitchfork and, and torch into the village or anything yet.
Oh, God.
Yet.
It can't be good for future party RSVPs, right?
It's true.
Social
But
standard.
that might mean that Moslin gets one. Gets an invite. There's dead man's shoes, you know.
You're gonna need to bump up those numbers, fill those spaces.
Well, Mosling Mosling will be presenting an argument to you know, not in front of Bill, but generally that it seems like if we were going to try and do this, if this was a case that could go to court, that that this isn't a premeditated murder, and the British court system would insist. What grounds would any judge convict this man? Basically that this is not something that we shouldn't try and pin the murders on Bill, because that seems too much of a punishment, and that it's got to be something in between, and probably pushing for something like he has to check in with the society and become an asset, basically. It is like the closest we can do. And then also, if we think that there are other things he can do for the community, that he should do that. But trying to explain to all of them he thinks whenever there's like a line of argument of what we should do, it's like, well, how are you going to explain this? How in what practical way does this work out?
I will look between you and Constance and go like, I agree that it's not murder, but there ain't no way he's walking scot-free from this, or with something like that, manslaughter or something along those lines.
I don't care about the legal system here. I care about justice and right being done. If he had opportunities to go to the church, he could have atoned for his sins. He's not done so willingly.
He still has time to do that.
Bill, and if we've moved away a little bit, like I'll get his attention again. How if justice is important, how can you put this right? How can you right your wrongs?
Well, I don't know if I can. He's completely deflated. Like he's been, you get the feeling that he's like, this stuff has been happening and he knows it's him, and he's been kind of upholding a level of functionality. And then now that he doesn't have to keep up the lie anymore, it's just, everything's just come crashing down and he's completely deflated.
Do you have any...
Bill,
Go on.
I want to hear you admit that you sent them here deliberately to this tower, sent that creature here deliberately to this tower, knowing it was dangerous, knowing that it could do that sort of thing. Because you did know that, didn't you?
Yes, I suppose I did.
Were you trying to drive Wilson away? Did you have that in your mind?
Not in the first instance. I was just trying to save my own skin. First thing that I could think of, I mean, the tower and the house are often on my mind, so I suppose it all ties in, doesn't it? I thought of there, but then I thought of there because there were animals, and maybe that would be enough. And then after the fact, I thought maybe this will work out well for me as well. But that more material benefit didn't come to me until afterwards. That certainly wasn't my objective.
I just realized something. Bill said that he saw the creature, interacted with it, so he has the sight too. Sorry, I might have just glazed over that. Oh, okay, fair enough. We haven't got anything more from him about that. Interesting. Anyway.
Forgiveness is possible. Your soul can be cleansed, but you have to want to atone. You can't be motivated by selfish reasoning like that. You need to submit yourself to God's judgment and atone for what you've done. Lots of people come to the church after tragedy strikes, but they have to sincerely believe and want to do good in the world, in the faith. If you have no interest in that, there's nothing that anybody can do for you.
Believe me, I do want to make up for what I've done. I'm just not sure it's possible.
What do you think should happen next, Bill? Surely you've thought about it in the middle of the night.
Well, yes, I have dreamt the last few nights that it worked its way through everybody in town and then came for me anyway. That's probably about as much as I deserve.
Look, we do not live in a society that lets guilty-hearted people choose their own punishments. We don't live in a society where the matters of faith are dictate what kind of punishment someone should get. We live in a society where we try to deal out punishments that fit crimes, and I don't think that the person who should choose that punishment is Bill. And we should put too much weight on what goes on in this clearly upset, and I know offense, Bill, but clearly upset man's, darkest thoughts in the middle of the night. I think that the only thing that can happen, given that I would say, don't think that we can rightly or should rightly pin all of these murders on Bill, is that we try and do something that the Apollonian Society can enforce. And that should be, I think, Bill, if you have any assets, perhaps you should consider selling them and trying to give some back to this town, leaving this place, and maybe thinking about where you could go and do some good. And
money does
again,
very little to right wrongs in practice. If you are more concerned with the inconsequential legal dealings of this and the court system, I'll leave that to you, Mosling.
It's not for us to. It is not for man to decide what God's punishment should be on a person. That is between them and the divine at the end of their life. What we're dealing with right now is what happens now in the mortal realm, in the material and legal sense, in terms of on earth recompense for what he has done.
He's right. Whatever else, I reckon you're right that you can't stay here.
You can deal with his mortal dealings then. All I mean to say is that his judgment will come to him, and there are things he can do to save his immortal soul, if he cares to.
Bill, your soul's fucked. But until then, and you got to deal with that. But until then, let's get down to what we're currently going to do about the situation.
Hux actually snort laughs when you say that.
Well, I'll have it noted that Mosling is still ticked angry, and so, yeah.
I'm not certain that we have the ability to judge.
I completely agree, but there isn't anyone else who can do that apart from we can let Sir Rupert decide.
Yeah, I'll look at them and say, "Is this our role then?"
That's what I think.
Judge, jury.
I mean, we can hand him over to them. So again, I don't see any way that Bonds can get it through the courts any other way. So
I'm not saying the courts will work. I'm just saying, is that the position we end up in then?
I don't feel like we should be executioners, but we have to decide something.
Eleanor says, unfortunately, these are the positions that we find ourselves in. The choices are, having uncovered and solved what happens in these situations, one can do nothing. One can attempt to pass them into the legal system, or one can make a decision of their own what should be done. Or in fact, as a group, and I think as a group, you are mixed enough in your opinions, your beliefs, your sense of duty, that perhaps a balanced decision can be made amongst you.
Mosling, I think you're trying to be fair to Bill, talking of manslaughter instead of murder. I think you're missing that I am also trying to be fair to him. By saying that he has a way of saving his soul, that is the ultimate kindness possible. The church often takes in those who need to atone. Call it exile, call it community service, whatever you will. That is an option for him. But only if he's willing to take it sincerely.
I think it is certainly an option that if Bill was inclined to, he could, you could certainly disappear into the church.
Could only
if
be
he wanted to
taken
dedicate his
willingly and
life such a
honestly,
way.
though.
But that would be Bill's, as you said, that would have to be Bill's decision. In the meantime, I think that
I think there's damage that needs to be repaired here.
Exactly.
Within this town. And go on.
I could sell the pub, split the money between the families of those who've lost.
Find that lad who left too, if you can. Just because they're out of town doesn't mean families aren't part of this too.
B, what do you think?
I think talking about the courts is a difficult one. I don't think anyone's bringing goblins and fairies in front of the Old Bailey. I think forcing a man towards God is, well, it's not what he'd want. And from what I remember from Sunday school, it's not what any God would want either. I think you've done wrong, Bill. And you know you've done wrong. And I think that fact is, from the looks of you, a fair amount of punishment in and of itself. I think the best thing for you is making it as right as you can. Reparations, like Hux and Bonneville said. And then maybe seeing if you can do some good with this site you've got. Because when we were recruited, no one asked if we'd done anything wrong. No one asked if we'd made mistakes. They just asked if we saw something we shouldn't have. Now Bill's here. He's got the site. He's got services he can do. So, Rupert?
Perhaps we have a duty to guide as well as judge with this these abilities.
He made a mistake, Constance, for sure. But I don't know. I don't think damning a man for one moment of weakness is fair.
I only think he's damned if he doesn't atone. As I say, forgiveness is possible. Forgiveness is there for him, but he has to choose to accept it and earn it.
I'd say I'd agree with that. Our methods may differ, but I agree with the sentiments. I'd say beyond that, it's up to you, Bill.
Is this the decision, then? Says Rupert.
How are we dealing with the law? What happened to those people? Is that on you or on us?
Sponsor's problem.
Many crimes go unsolved.
Well, I suppose there's nothing to pin it on anyone anyway.
And you have to consider what is the best result for those left behind, that they don't know, that they are lied to about who is responsible, or the truth, which they would surely disparage as a flight of fancy and a story.
Given that most of the bodies were never recovered, leaves most of them without closure. I know that's not really something we can fix because, well, we've got nothing to prove, have we? Prove it with. But
Hump
doesn't
was a
feel too
wild
good to
animal.
me. Bodies were too mangled to recover and show them. Could do.
I would
Also-
like to be able to put the wives at rest, give them some comfort. The truth is less important than that. The truth only really matters to God.
You don't want people hunting for their loved ones for the rest of their lives.
I will say this though, Bill. If you take this chance to join the society, and I hear you use it to make more deals that put more people at risk, I'm going to be the one that comes out and finds you.
Understood.
You're alone.
Eleanor says, very well then. Bill, reparations, and then come and find us, or we shall come and find you. You five, we have a train booked for London. We'll give you have, well, an hour to get everything in order before you leave, and we shall see you at the station.
I'll
Right.
grab one of Bill's nicest looking bottles of brandy and wander outside and sit and drink it.
Wow.
No intention of giving it back.
Constance
Does
going
anybody
to
have-
nab a glass and join you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to get those books back to.
Harriet.
I'm happy to drop them back.
I wanted to stop in with Harriet as well, but I needed a bit of time first.
Okay.
I meet you in like. Nah, you go on ahead.
Sure.
The hour is until a carriage is coming to pick you up to take you to the station. So it's not like you have to be somewhere in an hour. You have an hour to be outside the pub, essentially. Okay, so yeah, you head over to Harriet's. Hello.
Hello. Good to see you. How was your day going?
Fine, thank you. I've put together a couple of new tinctures that I've been working on, so...
Smashing.
Hmm.
These were very useful. I think that the whole situation with the tower is going to resolve itself.
Oh, that's good. Very glad to hear it.
This is my card, and if anything odd ever happens again, we'd love to hear about it.
Yes, of course. Presumably, as long as it's outside my home, as a number of things that I think other people would consider odd happen on that very table.
Well, if I wanted to know about things that other people considered odd, I'd give them my card.
Right, you are.
I kind of go, thanks. I look forward to trying this on the kids. Should be. I hope it proves effectual.
It will, she says.
Oh, I have no doubt about it. Yes. Well, thanks all the same, and don't be a stranger. And happy to let myself out otherwise, unless she has anything that she looks like she wants to say.
As the door's closing behind you, you hear Safe travels, Mr. Mosling Force Mark.
And then off I go. And yeah, I probably would take a circuitous route that would take me most of the hour to get back to the pub.
Okay. B is also visiting Harriet.
B is taking a detour. B is while that conversation was happening, I rolled 1 investigation in wilderness roll and 1 shooting roll, and I have acquired, let's say, a rabbit, say a hare. You know what?
Yeah.
A hare, bullet hole perfectly through one eye.
Oh, God.
I've already said thank you to her, so I think I might just. No, you know what? I'll knock on the door and hand the rabbit across.
Lovely. Thank you.
As thanks.
Unnecessary but appreciated. I'll set about this immediately. You don't have time to stop and No, you must be away, I'm sure.
Afraid not. Got to get the boy packed.
Well, if you're ever back in Radcliffe, do come say hello. Can always use an extra pair of foraging hands.
I will. I assume Mosling's already given you some kind of contact information.
She reaches into what you can't see that there's pockets in the kind of dress that she's wearing, but it's kind of hidden in the fold, and she pulls a card out.
Good.
A pleasure.
Good luck, Miss Walsh.
Say goodbye to Adam from me.
I will. I'll walk away.
Cool. Anybody, anything else before you set off? No? Cool. A carriage shows up. It's the same guy as before, and takes you to the train station, where Rupert and Eleanor are waiting for you. And you have first class seats for the way back, because they want to sit with you, and they're not sitting not in first class.
Love it.
Steve,
I'll make them
me a
regret
vigilance
that.
roll, please.
Vigilance roll. Okay.
Please.
Okay.
I've only ever travelled on the outside of one of these carriages.
Okay, that's 5 dice plus 1. Bear with me just a second whilst I skip all these ridiculous. Nothing at all.
Okay. The train sets off back to London. And let's stop the story there. So that is the end of that that arc. I'm going to say this stuff now. So thank you for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Simba Room on Wednesday. This will be off next week, but hopefully should be back the week after. Go on, Steve.
Is Simba Room on this week, or is it?
No, it is skipping this week.
Okay,
I think.
So
yes.
The next thing after tonight will be Simba Room next Wednesday, theoretically. Cool. Please come and join the Discord, and then you can get updates on when things are and aren't happening, when live things happen. That is promo. Yes, questions or comments in the chat. We are going to do, so you'll all get, let's do character stuff first. So in terms of XP for you, did you participate in the session? Yes, that's 1.
Yeah.
Did you confront any Vaesen? No. Did you identify a previously unknown Vaesen? No. Were you affected by your dark secret? No, I don't think anybody was. Did you take risks to protect other people? Probably not this session. Have you learned anything? Yes, quite a lot. Did you develop something in your headquarters? I'm going to say yes to that because you are going to in a moment, I presume. Did you perform an extraordinary action? I'll say no, so you get 4 XP for you. So what we then do is deal with advancements on HQ stuff. So development points. Did you play at least one scene so this is for the entire mystery. Did you play at least one scene in the headquarters? Yes. 1. Did you encounter a new type of Vaesen? Yes. 2. Did you visit a place of magic?
No.
Witch's house?
Yeah, did that
I'm going
count?
to say yes.
It did. Hey.
But did we
Were
know?
you? Were you?
Does it
doesn't
matter?
matter.
That's not the
Part of the
question.
description.
The question isn't, did you know you visited a place of magic?
Oh, great.
We travel the rail network. That's a place of magic.
Were you subjected to magic? I don't think you were you?
I guess like fear stuff from
Yeah,
the
fear test.
That's not magic. No, that's just
fear.
yeah.
Is my knit ointment magic?
No, it's tea tree oil. Did you bring occult books or other important items back to headquarters?
You returned the book.
Yeah, I don't think we.
Yeah. Is the memento? That's what we were thinking. Like,
I was going to say you
Oliver's
have got
memento?
the red cap's tooth,
Oh yeah, we did. That would probably be.
which I'm going to say can be a thing.
Who had that?
Did you make
got
important
it.
contacts? Yes,
Yeah.
I would say you made important contacts. Was the mystery particularly difficult and epic? I'm going to say no. Did you solve the mystery? Yes. 6 development points.
Pretty good.
Wow.
What happens if we overflow the 10? Oh no, it's development points and experience. Never mind.
Yeah. So you now have a big list of things that you can look into getting. So they're split into facilities, contacts, and personnel. So facilities are new rooms in the headquarters, and then personnel are people to work in the headquarters, and contacts are obviously contacts. For people watching, there are prerequisites for some of them, which are sometimes you have to have another room or you have to have the personnel to kind of staff that room, and there is a cost, which is the number of these development points that you have to spend. Did any of you have an argument to put forward about which, if anything, you want to purchase?
The thing that occurs to me, which I think Constance will be very happy with, is given that that was a religious creature that we clearly needed faithful things to fight, I really want to get a little chapel, even though I don't know if that actually helps in that circumstance. I think it said holy water, which sounds like it would have helped.
I did have the list. Where's the list gone?
I know, I can't find this one as well.
Yeah.
Inga, is Constance the priest archetype? Yeah, cool. Yeah, so for chapel, you have to either have resources 5, which nobody in the group has, or a priest in the group. So that would be fine.
I mean, that certainly makes sense.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say I'd spot chapel as a likely one, I think.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense from a story perspective, certainly.
It also just feels like, given we have Sister Constance with us, like it's going to be a kind of inevitable thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other, I mean, this if one was to, and we are not by any stretch of imagination a group of min-maxers, but the other appealing one is the society, the annals of the society, where we write everything up and get more XP from every session afterwards. But I do agree that the chapel does make more thematic sense.
Yep.
Oh, did one of us have that like spiky crucifix still?
Yeah. I can't
Yes.
have that still.
Okay, cool. I was gonna.
And
Go on.
I'm going to also say that Henry or whoever can also have the remaining bullets. So there was 6 bullets in there essentially to fill
So we have
a
4
6-shot
left.
revolver chamber. So you've got 4 left. Yeah.
Actually, this kind of brings up a bit of a question I had. I know these sorts of systems don't necessarily do it like this, but we've got weapons and we've got advantages. And this kind of confuses me a bit because when I first picked up the revolver, it was an advantage, but obviously I used it as a weapon. Is it assumed that I have to get a new one for the next thing, or can I have a revolver in my weapons thing? And I was going to ask the same thing about the spiky crucifix. I was like, if we have that, can one of us add it to their inventory as a melee weapon, or is it now an advantage that kind of goes away and comes back? It's always a bit funny with these sorts of things in games, isn't it?
I am happy for if you have an item, you have an item.
Okay, so I'll put revolver in my weapons.
There is a wee bit of mechanical frippery to this. So there is one option that the strict point of view is that if you gain something through the prep phase, if you didn't have it on your original character sheet, if you gain something through the prep phase or whatever, then it disappears at the end of the adventure. The end of the
goes
mystery.
back into the store of the
That's what I was wondering.
Which I guess the crucifix came from there and stuff.
Yeah, there is. So the cellar vault, if you have the cellar vault facility, that allows you to store up to 3 common items or weapons from previous mysteries. So there is like a mechanical way of storing things and reusing them between mysteries.
Okay, so it seems like we can't keep the crucifix according to the mechanics of the game, but given that is,
I think if there's a reasonable time passing between adventures, it kind of makes sense that where do we put that crucifix? Oh, somewhere in the library.
Yeah,
I'll have to go rooting around to see if I can find it. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, some Vaesen's moved it again.
Yeah, like I'm pretty damn sure I left it under that's one of the stacks.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was kind of asking too, because it was really on Hux's mind. After I noted that I couldn't hit the thing, and then the religious, like that was like really important to me. So consciously, I would have been like, if I could just have that weapon or acquire a weapon that is otherwise religious, that would be really crucial. So if that was available, I would put that in.
Arm you with
that's
some
something
holy
you can't
water,
really do.
Friend. Don't you worry.
I'm also of the inclination that unless you want to purchase it with resources, which I think you might be able to do, then most of the time, because we're not regularly going around worrying about Vaesen, we kind of we put things down in the thing. And
I see what you mean.
The butler tidies it away, and then when it comes to the adventure, we have to kind of go searching for it again. If we're about to go off to Leicester, we need to. Where did I leave all the things that I had? Oh, I don't have time to go and pick up everything. I'll grab a gun. I'll grab a map, and then I guess the crucifix is somewhere.
Yeah,
I mean, potentially one way of doing it might be to, if there's something you really, really want, you could swap it with an item that you have. Like the things on your character sheet stay with you. So perhaps if you got rid of your crowbar, for instance, and took the crucifix instead, that might be a way of approaching it.
I see what you mean, Although now you pointed out like that, I'm like, I ain't getting rid of the crowbar.
This
I
crowbar?
guess that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have this crowbar into a
crucifix crowbar.
Constance isn't going to give up her actual, her original holy item for the crucifix, as awesome as it is. So in my head, I was like, Magnus could totally have sentimental. That's got nostalgic value.
We'll just, if we have a chapel, we can roll for things in future and get advantages that are still that sort of thing.
Exactly.
So are we going with the chapel? Is that your?
I think so.
That was my vote.
And that spends all of your points, so there's no need to worry about anything carrying over.
There is a secret roll that you make.
Genuinely won't push too hard on the chapel front if there is something else that people want to make a case for.
I think the chapel's a good idea.
I push quite hard because I'm like, we can't fight this thing without religious items. Like,
obviously,
we would like in passing mention it would be nice to have a workshop, but like she's not going to. Like she's pretty good at keeping her own weapons and stuff maintained without a fancy workshop. So if no one else sees it as useful.
Mosling's for the chapel, but we'll point out just because one of these things is bothered by a crucifix doesn't mean that this is going to happen again in the future.
Yeah, next arc, it's
the plural of anecdote isn't data. I once saw a bridge in Berkshire.
The bridge everything could be solved,
and I thought all Gothic archers then.
So yeah, what Steve alluded to is when you do an HQ upgrade, you take the cost of the thing, which in this case was 6, and I roll secretly that many dice, and any 6s that come up on that are essentially a trouble that is caused. So I've made that roll, but we're not going to deal with that now.
Did you roll any 6s?
We're not going to deal with it because
not gonna tell
nothing
us.
bad happens. That's why we're not going to deal with it.
Were any of our workmen just like mysteriously murdered in the night?
Do you feel guilty, Jonny? Is really what I'm trying to, because these 6s have consequences.
Everything's fine. So
That's all I need to hear.
I think that's everything, isn't it? Is everything tied up for everyone?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. So were there any questions or comments, John?
Yeah, I still don't know what it was.
Ominous chords.
Oh, that noise. Yeah, some of you have the same mic as me. It's got the springs on it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
strung my
Oh,
finger
is it
right down the
that?
springs completely accidentally, and because it's on the mic thing, I was like, yeah.
That is a lot more musical than I was worried it was.
There's a couple of guys
Right.
at work, because we also do a lot of video calls and stuff these days. We've got a couple of guys with guitars and we're pretty relaxed. And so there's a few guys who will just bust out the guitar and like you have a
Yeah.
meeting with them and they'll just be strumming along. Genuinely, that was where my mind first went. I was like, oh, vibes here. Someone's just adding a bit of atmosphere.
There was one stream that we did. I don't think it continued on air, but one of someone's housemate was just singing in the background, and it was fantastic. It was also very surreal.
Here's where Hux breaks into the wrong house and makes a scene.
I bet that
Entirely
happened
possible.
before. That would not be the
yeah.
first time.
Yeah, that's definitely happened before.
It was Radcliffe's neighbour who was
I love the image of Gail's little like foot up and down panic outside while Hux just marches back in. Gail's just there, like, so what else are we gonna do? We know he's guilty now. It makes sense.
Oh no, don't kick food. Inside every bedside table are 2 vases. We'd never get anywhere.
How awkward would that moment have been, Jonny, if it were actually just scraps of paper and I gone, well, nothing here. Close the drawer again.
Just got to point out though, vases inside a bedside table.
Very
That would be
suspicious.
weird. Yeah.
Totally
weird.
worth spending a whole episode contemplating and investigating further.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of B's experience spend during the next downtime might be learning how to read and putting some points in learning.
Yeah, it might be mine too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what skill that would be, but yeah. Just
I've been
learning,
going
probably.
off learning, and I'm
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
Mosling would be very happy to tutor,
Oh God.
Oh,
as
don't
long
have
as we're
time.
only reading books about roads.
What
Constance is
time
my
do you think
Bible, like-
Mosling has to do this?
I'm going to Bonneville.
I'm
or
writing a
Constance.
book.
Anyone else?
Constance will have us writing out Bible verses.
Yeah. better
And
than-
that's what Mosling would tell you to do. Go bother Constance with. I'm not going
Okay,
to
cool.
teach you.
Constance can teach me to read. That's fine. I'll
You'd
put,
have
I'll
the
put,
worst experience of learning
I'll
to
put my
read.
first point in learning for my next stat up, and then we'll say I can read a bit. There we go.
Okay. I also quite liked this.
Constance is scary.
And then-
When was that specific? Oh, now B's scary.
Oh, that was when Constance was full on. It was in the conversation with Bill and Constance
bar,
was laying
yeah.
it on place.
Kindness, trying to rescue someone's soul. That was
I mean,
Constance
yes.
at her nicest.
Still scary.
Scary nice.
Yeah, saying that was Constance at her nicest doesn't make it less scary.
Oh yeah, just wait.
Mimics and Misfits. Oh, thank you. First time catching you folks. They're a collective spot to watch old episodes. Yes, I think Inga pointed you in the direction of our YouTube link. There you go.
We really
Yeah.
should set up a handle now that we can. That's not the
Yeah.
that's not the
You can get a
catchiest.
nicer looking thing. yeah.
Rather than typing all of that out, it I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you obviously know where our YouTube is.
Well
If you're
done.
watching this on Twitch catch up, then our links are below in the about
Yes.
section.
Or you can just search YouTube for Telling Tales RP.
We
That would
Yeah.
also-
do we have a link to? We don't have a link to our YouTube on our
We
YouTube
do have a link to the bottom of the
description.
page.
Not on our YouTube description. They're separate, right? They're not the same description, all of them.
Hang on, let me.
We have a
I think
link.
We do.
When you're looking at the channel, if you scroll down,
Oh my
you will
god!
see a link to YouTube.
On
Is
YouTube.
this the
Or Twitch.
Infinite Mirrors?
On Twitter. Oh my
It's
god,
the-
I'm
That's what
going to.
Is it on YouTube? Does it link to itself? on
It's not
YouTube?
on YouTube.
Okay,
Our
then.
YouTube link is not on
I ended
YouTube.
Justin.
Yes, there are the other 4 episodes of this story on there, which if you want to watch the whole thing, although the end has now been spoiled for you, I suppose, then you have 2 weeks before we'll be back with the next thing. So that's plenty of time. And there's also all of the Simba Room and Shadows of Estrin and the Call of Cthulhu game that we did last year and
Just huge
loads
amounts
of stuff.
Loads of stuff. yeah.
Blades in the Dark, Coriolis,
If you-
etc.,
if
etc.,
you-
etc. One shots, including the Honey Heist game that I ran last year, which was really silly and very funny and not like this at all.
If you want to like
This isn't
other
silly
things that
and
Johnny's
funny.
done.
That was one other thing that I mentioned.
Sure, yeah. No, it's cool. It's not your channel, Johnny. It's not all self-promotion.
Jesus.
We're gonna rename it "Telling Johnny's Tales."
No. Then yeah, they're all on there. And thank you for joining us also, Mimics and Misfits. Thank you. Can you have a dog at the HQ? Yes, is the answer to that question. And I think is it this? I think it's this, isn't it? Where there's a talent that's pet for somebody.
There's a
Is
talent
that right?
that's pet,
Yes.
and there's also an HQ upgrade for a kennel. So
Yeah.
you could have an HQ dog in the kennel, and each of us could also have our own dog with the pet
So
talent.
many.
So we
So
could
many.
have up to 6 dogs.
Oh wow!
I mean, we don't know how many are in the kennel at HQ too, so there might be multiples in the kennel at HQ, right?
During the preparation phase, each level allows the player characters to bring a guard dog or hunting dog without using resources.
Yeah, so each player, and then you can have a pet.
No.
so that
So we
implies
could
there's
have
at
10
least
dogs.
yeah.
No. No.
we could have a dog themed spin off, but just it's the dogs go off and do investigations.
Oh, wait, Johnny. Important question: do dogs have the sight or the smell
I can't.
to contemplate the next session?
No.
There are dog Vaesen.
Yeah.
There are dog Vaesen. Yes, I'm being chased by.
Yeah.
We need the Vaesen version of Honey Heist with dogs.
Steve, you don't know if you're being chased by one because you failed your vigilance roll.
No.
Or just Rupert again.
Yeah,
Rupert's on the train now.
That's
Yeah.
what he
Maybe
wants you to
Lou and
think.
was like lurking behind you weirdly or something. I don't know.
Cool. I think that's everything. Is that everything? I think that's
That's
everything.
everything for me.
So we should be back on the 28th, I think. So nothing next Monday. And Simba Room is not on this week, but is on next Wednesday, which is the 23rd. So hopefully see you one of those times. And thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.